I'm scared about this episode because I don't know. I really don't know what to expect, considering there's been a few days that we've been apart and people don't know, but we were together from a Sunday when he arrived. Jeff arrived at my house and he was all the way till Friday, which was his weigh in, which took place at my house. He was here. And on his trip here, which was on Sunday, that was after his prior weigh-in, and his prior weigh-in was 327.3. He had gained 2.3 pounds from the week prior, which wiped away his 2.3 pound loss from that prior week. So showed up at my house on a Sunday, and we weren't talking diet on his way here at all. But of course, when he arrived, we had to get dinner. So decided that this is a vacation, so there's plenty of latitude. And we went to a Mexican restaurant, and there he proceeded to explain to me what had happened from the time he left his house until he had arrived. This was about 7:00 at night. And essentially, if you want to know what happened from around 9 in the morning until 7 at night, I can tell you. Two packs of cupcakes.
Oh man, you brought the list.
4 cupcakes. Oh yeah, I'm looking right at the list. Two pack of cupcakes, Hostess cupcakes, very delicious. I can't blame him for that. 1 3-pack of Ho-Hos. 1 4-pack of Twix, the share size.
Sounds so much worse when you say it, dude.
Share size of peanut M&Ms and 2 24-ounce Diet Cokes. Oh my God.
Diet.
Let's focus on the Diet Cokes, man. You just went all out. 2 24-ounce Diet Cokes, 0 calories. On his diet, 100%, as you can see, if we just focus on the Diet Cokes, just like I said. But just go ahead and rewind, and you can get updated as to what he had in addition to the Diet Cokes. That's meal number 1 at 9 o'clock. Around 1:30, he happened to be driving by Wendy's. So what would you do? What could you possibly do if a Wendy's is nearby? You got to go through the drive-through. And got to look at the menu, and the menu was calling a double cheeseburger, the Dave's Double, with no onions. Look at the menu, no onions. So the onion calories we can subtract from that. Large fries. You only ate about 80% of the fries. Yeah. The silver lining's always there.
I mean, dude, that would have never happened in my previous life.
That would have never happened in the history of his life. I think we do need to focus on that. I'm just so captivated by the list.
I understand.
There is some positives here that you can dig in and find. A large regular Coke. The diet wasn't good enough for this meal.
I was splurging, might as well. Just go
and 10-piece crispy nuggets. So that was his 1:30 meal. And then around 3:30, he couldn't help himself. He drove. I guess he had to get gas, or maybe not. But he did stop at a convenience store, and he got 2 king-size whatchamacallits, which
this makes it really sound bad.
I can't blame him. I can't blame him for doing that. Whatchamacallit, one of the greatest candy bars ever known to man.
Really underrated.
I'm proud of him.
Grossly underrated.
Yes. I'm proud of him for gravitating away from Snickers towards the whatchamacallit. I think that's what you do on vacation. You got to go all out. And you could make a claim that he certainly did. And then at around 7:20, we went to the a Mexican restaurant, and we got this fattening appetizer. It was probably a grilled Mexican sausage with Mexican cheese. It was sizzling. It was on fire as they brought it out.
It was chorizo dip.
He ate about half of the tortilla chips. So, some approximately half,
hit the spot
somewhere in there. And then a chicken quesadilla, nice size portion chicken quesadilla, packed with calories, cheese and chicken and everything. It's just awesome. I had one too. I didn't have the rest of what I described earlier, but I did have the chicken quesadilla. And then to cap it all off, at the end, we've been talking Arby's for a long time. So I did happen to bring up the name, and I just suggested, since we were together, we probably have to go, because we've been talking about that for months. And when I brought it up, guess what? Dinner was over. Quesadilla was done. And Jeff's like, well, why not go now? So we decided to head over to Arby's. He wanted to introduce me to the apple turnover, and discovered they also have a cherry turnover. So how can you pick between the two? Well, who knows? Just have them both. I mean, there's really no reason to have to settle for just one.
Don't take my word for it. Yeah, you got to make up your own mind.
Each of us had an apple and a cherry turnover. So that capped off the day. approximately, thanks to the artificial intelligence that we had at our disposal, this was approximately 7,500 calories. You heard me right, 7,500 calories, not the turnover, okay, but everything I just described for the day for Jeff. 7,500 calories, around 925 grams of carbohydrates. I don't think insulin was under control on that particular day. And then about 400 grams of fat. So I would say that this gives us some pretty good insight when we've been saying for months now, food addiction. There's some food addiction that Jeff suffers from food addiction. I mean, he's a food addict. This is what he gravitates towards when he's stressful or lonely. And I think this is a pretty good indication if he's not here and he's not doing what we do on a weekly basis, what brought him to 354 pounds, which is where he started this journey. Days like this, which are very possible for him under moments of stress or loneliness. And we've determined clearly that car drives alone, especially when they span approximately 8 to 10 hours, this is what is going to end up inevitably happening. Got to have some company. If you're by yourself and you're a food addict, your company's food. And as you can see, there is no limit. And when I say there is no limit, 7,500 seems to be the limit. But Jeff made it clear to me that he could have gone further than 7,500. But I mean, he just was. We were totaling this all up, and when we hit the 7,500, I mean, we naturally gravitated towards, could he get to 10,000? I mean, why not? And at this point in time, like that, the conversation goes from getting him below 300 pounds to getting him above 10,000 calories. Because with a day like this, I mean, that's naturally what comes to mind. Like, how far can this man go? What's he capable of? He believes he can hit the 10,000 calorie mark. I believe he can too. Given what he was able to consume in this day, I think he had room for another 2,500. Somewhere within there, probably would have gotten to it if he wasn't somewhat mindful. Yes, he was somewhat mindful during this day. Believe it or not, he only consumed 80% of his French fries at the lunch meal. All right. He would have consumed 100% of those French fries under any other circumstance. Yeah. No doubt about it. And he probably would have made another stop, or that 3:30 stop with the 2 king size whatchamacallits would have been reloading on cupcakes. Maybe 3 king size whatchamacallits. I think it could have been more extravagant. Kind of disappointing.
Well, don't sell yourself short. It could have, all those Diet Cokes. I mean, I've crushed Diet Coke.
True.
24-ounce bottles left and right. Yes. And if you add those up as regular sodas,
easy, that's 2,500.
Yeah, yes. I could make that happen without. And then again, if I went into the day with the intention of 10,000. You know what I mean? Like, I went into this day thinking like there's a chance I won't be awful. And it was like the worst day on record, literally. Like,
by far.
So, yeah. So, yeah.
Well, since starting the diet 6 months ago, 7,500 calories is, and we're talking Super Bowls, Thanksgivings, Christmas, Christmas Eve, and New Year's Eve. All of that has happened throughout this process with Jeff. He's been able to maintain his composure. Of course, he loosened things up. 7,500 calories, nothing comes close to this. Not even the Super Bowl, which is his religious experience of the year. He didn't come anywhere close to this. So we know that Jeff's number one weakness is put him in a car by himself for an extended period of time, and nothing's going to stand in his way. Okay. And as you can clearly see. So when he came here and he divulged this to me, I figured, okay, 7,500 calories to start the week. Where do we go from here? Do we test the limits? Do we see how many days he can get 7,500? Do we see how many days he can exceed 7,500? He's on vacation. He's staying with me until Friday. This was a Sunday. So I assume the worst. And just forgive me for doing that, because I figure if it started out this way and we didn't talk about what was happening, this is a vacation. I assume he's just going to have fun. I'm not going to force this guy. I'm not going to force him to do anything, but I'm not even going to compel him to try and be on a diet while he's on vacation, because those are the times where you have fun. You go on vacation, you loosen things up. It's most of the year when you're not on vacation. That's when you focus. That's when you get your weight loss done. And it doesn't matter. You go on vacation, do what you want. So I figured he was going to do just that. He was off to a great start. the doing what you want, I think you could pretty much take this day and classify it as such. But at the end of that Sunday, he mentioned something and it caught me off guard. He said something to the effect, and this was at the Mexican restaurant, even before the Arby's. He said, "We'll go to the Arby's tonight," he said, "because tomorrow I'm going to be good." And that just kind of, he said it, but it didn't exactly register with me when he said it until he ended up saying it again at Arby's, saying as he was eating the apple turnover and the cherry turnover, he was talking about tomorrow, and which was Monday, trying to, do as good as he can to make up for this. So I couldn't believe what I was hearing, because I didn't suggest that he do anything. I figured it was going to go however it went during the vacation. This is his vacation. He can do whatever he want. I figured he'd loosen things up. He certainly did on Sunday, but he knew he had to weigh in on Friday. And so he just decided, why not? I'm gonna do what I can to try and counteract this. So literally, without any suggestions or prompting on my part, beginning on Monday, he started to have protein and fat breakfasts and dinners, and then sandwiched in between was his treat. And that's consistent with what he normally does when he's at home. In the middle of the day, it'll be a treat during the week, and that treat normally consists of Twix bars, R's with an S. Snickers bars, candy bars.
I've had some Twix in there.
Candy bars, as many as 4, which in my world is 8, because they're the double
king size.
Yeah, so that'd be 4 of those, which they're like divided in 2, so it'd be technically 8. But he would have those, and that one day we totaled up 225 grams of carbs, something like that, and an absurd amount of fat. So we started talking about alternatives to that, because what if he can consume something he really enjoys in the middle of the day, look forward to it, but cut that in half? So we're aiming something for in the 100-gram of carb level that he can consume every day in the middle of the day. So he ended up, I ended up telling him about my Cool Whip escapades that I've had many times throughout my life. Huge fan of Cool Whip. Dipped cookies and candy bars and you name it into the Cool Whip. I put it on meat before. Yes, I have put it on as a protein source to try and make it palatable. If it was a low-fat protein source, I'd put Cool Whip on top in the past. This is not a daily event. I haven't done it in quite some time, but it was definitely.
You question my judgment,
I mentioned it to him, and my brother suggested, why doesn't Jeff give a shot using Cool Whip as sort of a something to spice up that midday in some way. And then we settled on the idea of him having a container of Cool Whip as a midday meal with mix-ins.
75 grams of carbs, right?
Well, we looked at the calories, the carbs and the fat in the Cool Whip. You can get the fat-free version of the Cool Whip with 75 grams of carbs for the whole container. And then you can do some mix-ins. We stumbled at the restaurant, at the supermarket. We stumbled upon some cereals that he would enjoy, like Twix and Oreo and things of that nature. And we bought a couple of them with the Cool Whip, and he gave it a shot. And we decided to give this a try and see how it would go, see if it would satisfy him. And he was pleasantly surprised, and he seemed happy, and he seemed filled up, which is something that we're definitely aiming for. You get something that would fill him up and allow him to enjoy himself.
I did not see that coming at all.
I didn't see it coming either. I didn't think it was going to get that job done, but I should have known, because Cool Whip by its very nature is very filling, but it really didn't dawn on me until he actually consumed it. And it didn't dawn on him either that it did weigh him down quite a bit. So it got the job done in both the flavor, enjoyment, and then in the controlling hunger department. So he did that for multiple days while we were together in the middle of the day. And to begin and to end the day was high protein and high fat and low carb. So the idea was, what can we do during this week? What could he do? Because this was all his idea during this week to weigh in at less than what he weighed in the week prior, despite what he did on Sunday, the 7,500 plus calories. And this was Sunday. The day before that Sunday, he also was a loose day for him. He had a couple giant sized chocolate chip cookies from Costco. And so there was some fun to be had there as well. But how do we counteract this? Is it possible? He also, of his own free will, decided to do, I think it was 3 walks. He walked outdoors a couple times, and then he walked on my treadmill when it was too windy and too cold to walk outside. So, and the treadmill survived. So we can,
close. It was touch and go
because we initially tried this treadmill and it gave me an error message, but we luckily worked our way through that, and I'm not going to put 100% of the blame on him, just 50%.
Let's be clear. I'm not the only one that's seen that message. Let's make that clear.
He absolutely isn't the only one that's ever seen that. I haven't seen it in months, but we did rectify it, and we found a workaround, and he was able to use it. So he actually exercised, and he hasn't done that in a very long time, and he did so willfully while on vacation. I've never seen anything like this from him. When we're talking about a guy who goes on vacation, and literally the last thing on his mind is conserving calories or avoiding carbs, however you want to refer to it as. That's the last thing. He's looking to do the opposite. Like, how can I maximize carbs?
Yeah.
I'm on vacation. I need to have fun. Like, this is a time where we try new foods. We try foods we haven't had in a while. We try multiple foods at one time. So
I try to recruit you to my lifestyle every time
always.
I see you.
Whenever we're together, it's always reversed. It's always he's trying to bring me away from what I normally do, and he's usually successful. But this time around, no, he had a whole new attitude. He literally wanted to make this a test to see what would end up happening by the time he weighed in. He had lofty expectations for himself. He was hoping to be able to get below 327 pounds. He ended up, that was his objective, to see if he could counteract whatever happened on Sunday. We don't know what it was. He didn't weigh in after Sunday. Thank God he had the presence of mind not to step on the scale after.
I think that was the one commitment I held up for the week.
Yes, you held that up real well, and things would not have gone as they did had he not done so. But he ended up not weighing himself after that Sunday debacle, and he waited till Friday, like he's supposed to do. He had the presence of mind to do what he possibly could do throughout that entire week to counteract that, while still having a good time. So I was, having a nice midday snack, try and confine it to the 100 grams of carbs or so. He threw a peanut butter cup in there as well, but nonetheless, it was vacation. This is more than I've ever seen from him by far. I would have never expected anything like this willfully from Jeff unless he was paid to do it. And no money is changing hands between the two of us. I can assure you, he's not compensated to make those sacrifices. He decided to do it on his own.
Yeah.
And we had a good time doing it. Believe it or not, we made it fun. And on Friday, he went ahead and snuck in his way in before it was supposed to happen while I was there. But that was not the case. He had already done it before we convened early in the morning.
Person. I'm a private person.
He was very private. He did this by himself. He needed to have his space. He needed to see what that number is, process it by himself, go through whatever kind of emotions were to come up once he saw that figure, and then took a picture of it. And when my brother and I were in the room, he shared it with us. And the week prior, it was 327.3. That was the Friday before the big Sunday 7,500 calorie celebration. And then what followed was his diet, his attempted diet on vacation for a few days. And then the big weigh-in brought him from 327.3 to 327.0. So somehow, some way, he did counteract his 7,500 calories Sunday and was able to lose 0.3 pounds in the process. Jeff was, I don't know how to describe it. The emotion he was showing, it was not disappointment, but it was like on the one hand, he knew it could have been bad based on what he did on Sunday, he knew he was expecting that it could be in the 330s because that was a lot of food. He could have easily gained over 2 pounds just that day alone. So, but he thought he did enough to counteract that. So he was hoping for 326 or less. He got 327. I consider it a huge win. The fact that he lost weight and still didn't have a strict, I mean, during the week, I would not consider it a strict diet. He was eating a lot of food. We were having like 2 omelets at once. I mean, we're talking about a good amount of food on those breakfast and dinner meals. It was on many of those meals were hearty. And then that middle meal, that snack meal, still at least 100 grams of carbs. So it was decent sized. It was, and it was satisfying to him. So the diet wasn't difficult to follow, yet it still netted him that 0.3 pound loss on a week where he did more damage on that Sunday than he's done in a very, very long time. So if you take that Sunday out of the equation, it would have been a very good week, just based on what he did while he was with me. I want to say I was impressed. I was thoroughly impressed with the type of discipline that he put forth while we were together at a time where he normally would just be no holds barred, anything goes. Don't even say the word diet around me until I'm back at home and on my normal schedule. That's what I normally would expect from him. That did not happen. He ended up deciding that because he's going to weigh in on Friday, he wanted to make the best of the situation. Sunday was in the books. There's nothing he could have done about that. It was a long trip. It was on long trips. He loves to eat. This is what he always does. He didn't want to avoid doing it. He wanted to enjoy the trip. This was something when he gets excited like this, food is part of that excitement and he's by himself. This is what he's been doing his entire life. He took part in that, but he did what he had to do to try and counteract it. And he did. And he did on vacation. And all of that is a huge, huge success. We left each other on Friday knowing he has to drive home. I told him, 7,500 calories on the way home. Like I don't know that that's going to do you any good. I think maybe we should try and do something about that. And I tried to, work some suggestions in there. Like, can we focus more on the Diet Coke? Like, I know you need company. I know you need something to enjoy while you're by yourself in this car, trapped all by yourself on this long 10-hour journey away from me. You're going to have something. Can we double down on that Diet Coke, maybe sip on that and just enjoy it? Other diet sodas, whatever. No, it's got to be food. It's got to be food. It's got to be food. It's got to be good food. It's got to be snack food. It's got to be delicious food. It's got to be carb-laden food. So he made it perfectly clear that's what it was going to be, but we did agree that he was going to try to cut it in half. So instead of the 925 grams of carbs, aim for the 450 max. And instead of 400 grams of fat, aim for 200 grams of fat. That's how we left it. I don't have a clue what happened. It's as much of a surprise as it will be to you when he tells me what happened since then. This is a Tuesday. This was he drove home on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Here we are 4 days later. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. He's been quiet ever since. What's up, man? What did you do? What can you give me? I didn't see a grand totals. I didn't see pictures. I didn't see nothing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened since you left. I just know you just kind of said, yeah, in a very somber tone. So lay it on me.
The day that I returned. Yeah. Let's see. I did make the qualification. I mean, pretty close to right on the money with my calculation anyway, being in the 450 range.
Okay, so
carbs.
You did adhere to that.
I did.
Okay,
I
good.
did.
That's good. That's what we agreed on. If you're thinking I was expecting better than that, you're thinking incorrectly. I was expecting a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah.
So if anything, if we agreed on that and we thought cutting that in half and making a concerted effort to stay within those parameters as opposed to what it is you did when you were on your way here, which would have been double that, I consider that a win. So
I'm really grateful that you do.
Yes, I do.
And so I mean, it was I set the bar nice and high, low, depending on how you look at it for the carbs. And so that helped me feel like, this was an achievable goal. Had I not been, doing what I don't even know anymore. I don't know what I would have done if we hadn't been working together on this for the last 6 months. I don't know if it would have been worse, or if it would have been the same, or if it would have been any less.
I feel like it would have been worse because
Yeah.
you were going home to a stressful situation. There's a job scenario, it's stressful for you. You're
Yeah.
going home to that, it's uncertain. You're leaving me. And we have fun together. We have a great time. So you're going away from me, which is not, happy time for you. Like you're going back to having to do a lot.
Yep.
A lot of things you'd rather otherwise not do. I would think it would be worse. Like it certainly would be worse for most people. That's usually when it just you completely fall off the rails.
Yeah.
There are no limits whatsoever.
That's true.
And you just do whatever you can do to drown everything out, which means like wall to wall 10 hours of eating, pretty much. The only thing that stops you is when you get full, and then the moment you're not full, you just start again.
That's wow, you've really observed a lot. Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
I mean, you're more observant about a lot of my food behavior than I am, and I'm grateful that you're helping me the way you are. This week we learned a lot. I learned a lot, and yeah, I think just that level of stupidity on Sunday, combined with the fact that I had the support system, the ultimate support system at my disposal, that really motivated me to just, get on track for this next few days and see if we can eliminate damage. And it worked. We played games with trying to figure out what was gonna satisfy me in the middle of the day. We made intentional efforts to have enjoyable, hearty breakfasts, and focus all the way on protein. That was not hard because I was bringing you to more fun than you were normally having, but at the same time, we were both accomplishing our goals. So, yeah, and then just being smart about dinners and focusing on the protein again there. And I'm grateful, man. I'm so grateful for all of it. I feel like every day I was learning something new. And you helped me, pinpoint the fact that the feeling of loneliness really does have impact on me, like a really strong impact in a negative way, and it has been, food's been my mechanism to put that to the side. So I wouldn't have learned that if we haven't been doing what we're doing for the last 6 months, and then I didn't take a road trip to see you. I mean, like I wouldn't have been able to put all that together. As a matter of fact, if somebody just told me that they saw that being the case, I wouldn't have believed them. I'd just blocked it out. I wouldn't even give it a second thought. I'd just be like, I don't want to hear that. I don't know, whatever. But this now, I've got much more. I'm more open to the feedback than ever, and I'm hearing, what you're observing. I'm hearing what you're saying better than ever. And then I'm just constantly wanting to learn more so that I can attack, the rest of this. And, you also are very motivational, helping me with the, hey, look, any other time in life, you'd put all that weight back on during this time, but you're holding steady, and holding steady is much better than adding that weight back. Yeah, you're not making the same progress at the same rate that you were, but you're not, losing it. And we identified some things, some habits that I have really truly broken that were just terrible. The drive-throughs and all that other stuff. And just much less impulsive in general. But then, that day came up Sunday, and I'm driving your way, and, I'm driving through a couple states, and it's all by myself. And I start, when we started talking and putting things together, I'm like, if I was traveling with you, I probably wouldn't have done that stuff. If I had my brother there with me, I wouldn't feel the need to do this, you know? So I feel like it's all happening for a reason. I feel like there's a lot to gain from all of this. You know, we played around and figured out the Cool Whip treat, and you know, a way I can keep it fresh and do different things with it without getting excessive with the carbs and staying lower than what the candy bars were. So yeah, I mean, overall positive week. Grateful, very grateful that I did not step on the scale when the number escalated past something I don't want to even say. So, and then, you know, I was hoping, you know, I was hoping for more significant, just because I had been so good for 4 consecutive days. But, yeah, so I had mixed feelings when I stepped on that scale, but I mean, it's a win. Overall, it's a big win. Big win. And there was some learning going on. So I'm excited. You know, it's been a little bit challenging. You know, I get to the routine, I guess, coming back. I did cut it in half. I had visions of doing better than that, but I really exhausted everything I could when push came to shove. You know, that limit we set, I felt the need to meet that limit, you know, and so that's kind of disappointing, but you know, it's still cut in half from where we were that first trip. And then ever since, you know, last couple of days, it's been a little bit loose, I would say, but not nothing excessive. And you know, I feel like with a couple more days to go here, I can do better results. I can achieve better results than a third of a pound loss. I'm in range of doing that. So
This is excellent.
yeah.
I want people to realize that this is week 24. On week 12, well, let's go back to week 1, or the very beginning was 354.6. And then at week 12, 354.6 became 328.3. And on week 24, which is now, or this last weigh-in, 328.3 became 327. So it looks, based on that, oh, lots of weight was lost at the beginning, the first half of this, the first 12 weeks. In the last 12 weeks, only 1.3 pounds were lost. So not very impressive. But during the past 12 weeks, consider you've had Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Super Bowl, it's vacation, and some unexpected stress. Jeff had a seizure, and some very work-related issues over the past few weeks as well. All of this, under normal circumstances, would have been a 30-pound weight gain. If he was on a diet, and 12 weeks later, he would have been up 30 pounds. You just need to understand that being down 1.3 pounds under those circumstances, based on his history and the fact that he suffers from food addiction, and food addiction, that's going to be his number one source of trying to counteract life stresses. And that's been his coping mechanism from when he was a kid. That the past 12 weeks, had he not been weighing in every week, had we not been meeting here, and he would not been talking about this on a weekly basis, had he not had to focus his efforts on attempting to do something to make that number better each and every week, he would have been way up. His weight would have been 20 to 30 pounds heavier than it is now. So the fact that he didn't gain anything over the past 12 weeks and actually lost over a pound is a huge success, given his history and given what he's struggling with. So people need to keep that in mind. That the first 12 weeks, there was less stress in his life. There was less happening. There weren't holidays. There weren't occasions where you would normally be consuming lots and lots of food. Didn't have the seizure. Didn't have the work related issues. All of that in the beginning, and excellent results. Just way down in that 12-week period. Then the next 12 weeks, lots of stress, things left and right, holidays, just a lot of scenarios that normally sabotage him, if he's attempting to do anything right, and would have easily caused him to turn away the entire time. That full 12 weeks would have been over, and during that time, it would have gained a massive amount of weight. So I think that's considered a big victory, to be down during the past 12 weeks at all versus being up 20 to 30 pounds. Because I can guarantee you the old Jeff would have gained massive amount of weight under the circumstances. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, you are. And there's still a side of me that is, I guess, greedy, in that I wish that I was at the same pace that I was. I hate to admit that, but at the same time, more I hear you talk like that, it helps. It does help me accept with grace the progress that's been made, and the fact that I have not gone backwards. That's really important. And
Very important.
yeah, it's really important. If it slow and steady is much better than going the wrong direction. Slow and going the right direction is better than fast and going the wrong direction. So
For sure.
yeah, I want better. I want to do better. And I don't like to make excuses. When I set my mind to something, I want to get it done. And this is the first time that I've had my mind set on this in a long time. I mean, honestly, 25 years. So,
Yeah.
and it was also a learning experience to be in your presence, where I usually am trying to just go off and have fun with you and bring you down with me. And it was a different deal. And there are
your
some
idea.
things. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's just stuff that never happened before was happening, and it is happening, and I'm very grateful for the changes. But at the same time, if under the wrong circumstances and without the right support, you see what I'm capable of is still stupidity. I don't like saying this, but it's more drawn to my attention than ever, and I'm more accepting of the fact that this really is an addiction. And I really don't like that word. I kind of block that from my own just consciousness. I didn't want to hear it, but that's what this is. And but it doesn't have to win, and that's the thing. So I just have to be aware and counteract it. And it's not easy. But I can still win. It's just going to be hard as hell.
You are winning. The first half, you lost a ton of weight. You lost around 26 pounds in the first 12 weeks, and in the next 12 weeks, during a tumultuous life and lots of events that would normally give you excuses to gain lots of weight, you ended up losing over a pound. So that's a huge success. Like you're doing things you haven't done long term ever in your entire life. And anybody that struggles with an addiction will tell you it's a daily struggle, that each and every day is another opportunity to do good or do bad, to go up or go down. And you always have to make that choice. And there's going to be good days and going to be bad days. You want the good days to outnumber the bad days, so that way you're headed down the right path. And ultimately, that's what you're doing. And we're just going to continue to meet here every week, and we're going to keep eventually getting that weight down to where it needs to be. And that's the trajectory that we're headed in. And we're just going to continue down that path together. And the last topic we want to cover, because Jeff has an abbreviated amount of time this week, is you take a look at this footage. This footage here is going to show you.
No,
because we talked last week.
No footage.
Our good buddy had suggested the Snickers protein bar. So while he was here, I decided no better time We decided because he ordered it. Jeff's the one
Forgot
who
about
placed the
this
order,
already.
Brought them here. He brought them here. They're currently in my kitchen. I mean, I hope that's not a spoiler, but he did decide to try it, and we have some footage of him sitting on my chair trying Snickers protein bar for the first time. The hope that we had with this was that it would replace the Snickers bar, because the Snickers bar is what he's been consuming almost on a daily basis in the middle of the day. And he loves Snickers. Snickers has been his favorite. So the Snickers protein bar has a lot less carbs and it has a lot of protein. So could it serve as a replacement? We're about to find out. So take a look at this.
Jeff here with the review of the Snickers high protein bar. I was excited about this when I heard about it a couple days ago. I have mixed feelings as I entered the taste test.
Describe these mixed feelings, please.
Well, let's see. There's a lot of positive potential. There's a potential for this to be a complete game changer for me and my weight loss journey. Because if I could justify substituting real Snickers bars with something like this, I would unlock the door to a lot faster weight loss. But as I read the ingredients and I look at the labeling, it says peanuts, caramel, and chocolatey coating. That leads me to believe that it may not actually be genuine chocolate coating, for number one. Then I looked at the ingredients, and the first ingredient is whey protein isolate, which I'm pretty sure doesn't show up at all on a regular Snickers. I have not inspected that label. The texture is a little malleable.
And remember, this is a non-refrigerated Snickers.
Non-refrigerated, that's right, correct. I put some in the refrigerator to try if that helps the texture at all, but the smell is not rancid.
Oh, that's good to know.
Very chewy. Very chewy.
Which means that it'll take you longer to consume it.
That's
than
true.
with a standard Snickers bar. You may be able to get more out of it. I'm thinking of the bright side here.
Very bright side.
That may be the only bright side based on the expression on your face. I'm not detecting the level of happiness that I was hoping for.
Me either. Me either. Ron Burgundy recommended these. Ron, they're not terrible. They're not terrible, but it did leave me a little disappointed.
Wait a minute. How do they compare to the other three that you tried in the 3 preceding weeks? I'd like to know.
Compared to those, it's fair. It's probably number 2 on the list of 4 we've gone through.
Oh, dude, couldn't even make number 1.
Maybe it's debatable. I have to do a side by side with the first one to really.
Yeah.
There's some positive traits to this. There's a crunch to it. I detect a little bit of a hint of the typical protein, what I would call protein peanut butter, faux peanut butter flavor. That's a turnoff.
Okay.
I think more crunch would be welcomed here. More peanuts in there. If we could get away with more peanuts without adding too many. This may have led me to investigate making some kind of a concoction, a mixture of different ingredients that are consistent with the true Snickers, or as close to consistent as I can be.
And have a sugar replacement.
Right.
Yeah.
Sugar replacement. So I will give this tentatively a 7.
7. Okay. We were hoping for at least an 8.
Yeah. I'll give it a 7.
Where does this fit into the game plan?
Right now, it's not in the game plan. It's not in the game plan right now.
It has to be at least an 8. Is that what
I would
to assume?
At least. And even with an 8 on this scale, I would need to acquire a little bit more of an appreciation over time. An 8 doesn't automatically get me. The 8 needs to evolve into like a 9, you know?
You don't believe that the refrigerated version is going to have a different impact on you?
I'll say I'll definitely be willing to do a review on our refrigerator version as well.
Okay.
To confirm. I see why they say chocolatey coating.
What does the E stand for in chocolate?
Not pure chocolate.
I see.
Yeah.
Fake faux chocolate and faux peanut butter? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
It's not a good combination?
No, I was hoping to do a Snickers commercial. I was really hoping to get behind this thing full force.
Hoping to have a Snickers sponsorship, to be honest.
It is definitely advanced from where I started in protein bars 100 years ago, but this is not going to be the suitable replacement that I had hoped for.
All right. Well, I guess that settles it. So tell me, Jeff, so based on your reaction, I'm going to be, I have to step in here for the viewer. Our buddy he's so helpful to us in trying to give us suggestions and supporting us. And if it were me, I've consumed so many protein bars in my lifetime, and there are protein bars that I do consider to be like candy bars because I don't consume candy bars. So I don't have anything to compare them to. So when I try them and I consume them, I enjoy them. They're a treat to me. I mean, think about it. If I'm normally consuming something that's not very appetizing, that's sort of bland and it's relatively speaking, I can consume something, a cookies and cream protein bar, and I can have the time of my life. Now, I just found out that one of the bars, I think it was the one last week that Jeff tried on the air, was the one that I enjoy, the one that I've had many, many times, and it's probably been my favorite one that I've ever had. He tried it, and I think he classified it as his. It's not going to be something he's going to be using as part of the diet. So we're on different wavelengths, and you have to remember, anytime you're dealing with, especially with food, with food addiction, whatever it is that a person is consuming, like, they have a very keen focus on what that tastes like. Like, there's a connection between that particular food and how it makes them feel. And if you say you can try this and it's going to be an alternative and it's close enough, don't be so sure it's going to be close enough for somebody that holds food in such high esteem.
That's a me problem. That's a me problem.
This is what you're seeing in the video that you just watched, I think, because for somebody that's more open, like for me, like, I consume that protein bar, I'm fine with it. Snickers is not my favorite candy bar. Whatchamacallit, on the other hand, totally different story. You give me a whatchamacallit protein bar, if it tastes anywhere near, I'm all over that thing. Snickers is not my favorite. So when I have that Snickers protein bar, though, I didn't have a problem with it. Like, as far as protein bars are concerned, it was fine. Like, I would eat it. I wouldn't dislike it at all. And I prefer the cookies and cream one from Quest. I think that's the one I like that one a lot. Like, I really do like the flavor of that. It does taste like a candy bar to me, but that's to me. But we've analyzed why Jeff feels the way he does about the Snickers protein bar. And one, it's because of the way he feels about Snickers. It's such an important part of his life that there's a very, very keen focus on how that tastes, and anything that deviates from that and calls itself Snickers is totally unacceptable. But number two, the protein flavor in those bars, not a fan. He's not a fan of that. He's not a fan of protein bars. Whatever the whey protein that they put in, the thing that makes them taste like protein bars, that has that protein, kind of that unique flavor associated with all protein bars. Jeff, he doesn't want anything to do with that. What he wants in that meal, and that middle meal, is no protein. He doesn't care about protein. This is his I want to have fun meal of the day. He doesn't want it to have any protein. He wants it to be a candy bar that has less carbs. So you can find a candy bar like a Snickers that's not bombarding him with 200 grams of carbs, but that he's able to cut that in half or less than half and still love the taste and still remind him of what he gets with Snickers. That would be a home run. no protein. We don't need protein. He doesn't need protein. He doesn't care about protein. That meal is not a protein meal. It's a fun meal. And I know that these companies make protein bars because usually people that are looking for them want protein. Like they want the protein because they're trying to get more fit and they want more protein in their diet and they want to consume protein in an enjoyable way. So why not put it in a candy bar? So that way you don't have to consume all that meat or fish or eggs. And that's the reason why they do it. And that's why they do sell well. But I think there's a market for people like Jeff that don't care about protein, just want flavor, but they want low carb. That's the reason why the diet sodas do so well, because I'm not one to suggest they're good for you. I don't consume them myself, except when Jeff is around, I had my fair share just because he backed the truck up to my house and there was about 3 dozen bottles that we put in the refrigerator. So I did have a few myself because I do enjoy it, but I don't want to consume it regularly because I don't, I know that my time will be limited if I do potentially. So artificial sweeteners, we just don't know what kind of issues that could cause, and we could speculate all day long. But I'm not going to take the gamble. Nonetheless, if someone's gonna try to compare being obese to using some artificial sweeteners to try and get your weight down, I think it makes sense to do whatever you can to drop the body fat. So if it's going to take artificial sweeteners and diet sodas and trying to entertain yourself with that, then that's what you're going to have to do. If you could put something like that in a candy bar and make that candy bar enjoyable, to try and replace the carbs in the candy bar, but keep it tasting like a candy bar with no protein, I think it could be a big winner.
I do too.
And I think there's a huge market like Jeff that would just pour money into that as a way to give them something they can look forward to in the middle of the day that feels and tastes like a candy bar, but gives them far less carbs. So that's what diet sodas are. Diet sodas are exactly that. Like they're giving you the flavor of what a soda would be with no calories. So you do that with a candy bar. It could be the next big industry to take over the entire world. And so tell me how you feel, Joe.
Yeah, I think you put it as well as anybody can. I think that I was trying to, in football terms, I was trying to force it into double coverage. I was trying to make something happen that didn't need to be happening. That it may need to be happening, but that's not realistic. That's not a realistic thing for me. I can see where people with a lot more discipline than I have in this regard could benefit from something like that. And I've been trying these bars, but it's just not accomplishing for me what I need or want to accomplish. The whole thing going back was, this might be slow, but it's got to be sustainable.